What is kind of the main idea of this series? Does anybody have one thing? Bentley. It does have to do with lights, and it has to, whoa, hold on, we got notes here. We got notes. What do you got? All right, God is light. We say, what did he have? We say what we think, and we do what we believe. Oh, you took down all the notes. All right, sixth grade girls, right? Okay, sixth grade girls, and all right, is that eighth grade? We'll give $1 million to sixth grade girls and $1 million to eighth grade girls for that. So we are talking about this idea, and Bentley, you were right on there. I could tell you were there. This whole idea of being a light, and one of the verses that we were looking at is just put like being a light on a hill. And the verses that he kind of went through just talked about we allow our light to shine. And I want to continue going in with that. It is. It's Halloween time. I don't know. Did any of you guys go to haunted houses? Is that like some of you went? Yeah, most of you. Good. All right. I'm glad most of you didn't go. I'm not a fan of haunted houses. Some of you, I know, maybe you did or didn't go. It's just a lot of darkness and a lot of stuff jumping out at you. I don't care for those type of things. As we talk about darkness, how many of you guys, let's be honest, how many of you guys have a little fear of the dark? Is anybody, just a little bit, like if it's pitch dark, you're a little uncomfortable in the dark. All right, some of you guys are being honest, some of you are lying. We know it's true. If you don't know, I joke about this all the time. If you're like, I don't think I'm afraid of the dark, do you walk into a room that's dark and then turn the light switch on, or do you reach around and turn the light on before you go into a room? If you do this and turn it on, you're a little afraid of the dark, by the way, okay? Now, if you just walk right into a room and you don't care and then maybe you turn the light on, you're good. But if you're wondering, that's the easiest way to tell, because that right there is like it's a little tell if you're afraid of the dark. Why are we afraid of the dark? We talked about this a little last year because we found out that many of you, last year when we talked about darkness around Halloween time, I found out that many of you guys think like once you turn the light off, you have to jump right into your bed as fast as you can because that's when the monsters come. And we joked about that last time. And some of you talked about it's not so much the monsters, but if your bedroom is completely like pitch black and you're at your doorway and you're trying to get to your bed, what might happen? Not yet. You might stub your toe. You might fall. Why? Because it's a mess. That's why. You were honest with it. And it's a little bit what we are talking about here today. So I want you to think about this. Just follow along for a few minutes here with me, okay? When the scripture verses we're going to be looking at, it kind of talks about the fact that it's not so much we're not really talking about being afraid of the dark, but we're just talking about when it's dark and you can't see where anything is because like maybe your room's a mess, maybe there's all this stuff, and when the light's on there, you don't think anything of it because you can find be honest, some of you guys have like there's only certain parts where you can see the carpet in your bedroom right now, so you kind of know where to navigate. But if it's dark and it's complete pitch black, we're worried like I'm going to hit something, I'm going to step on something, there might be food or some plates laying around down there, and you're not sure what you're going to you're not sure what you might step on down there. This is the idea we're talking about today. And I want you to, we're going to look at this verse in Genesis and then really kind of look at what it's saying here, what it's saying. And so when we're talking about light and darkness, and we're going to get to how it applies to our life. But we're going to look at Genesis chapter 1 real fast and kind of look through what it's saying here. So Genesis chapter 1 is just giving the whole order of like creation, right? And so in Genesis chapter 1, if you can, are those on there? Because I want to read off this screen to make sure I don't have the wrong. It says the earth was formless and empty. And I want you we're going to come back to those words right there. Formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters. And the Spirit of God was hovering above the surface of the water. So it's just this darkness and emptiness, and God is over this. And so we're talking about creation here. And then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night. And so leave that verse up there for me for a second. When we're looking at this whole idea of formless and empty, actually go to the next one, Chase. I did put this in there. When we look at this formless and empty, it kind of gets a little bit, the translation gets a little lost from the original Hebrew there, because it really has this different word, and I'll let you try to pronounce that one. But it really just means this idea of formless meant like there was nothing to it. There was a little bit of chaos. It was chaotic. It's just this void of chaos and kind of emptiness that's there. Because without any sort of order, it's like this idea of chaos, even though you might think of chaos like everything's crazy and chairs are flying or whatever you might picture. But it's just this idea that there is no set order to it. It's just empty and darkness there. And so I really like that idea there, that in there's darkness, it can be this chaotic or just empty. And so that's why I wanted you to think about maybe your bedroom. Now, some of you guys are clean, so it's hard for you to imagine this. But for a lot of you, think of your bedroom right now. If it was pitch dark, would it be considered really orderly and perfect? Or would you be like, you know what? Chaotic would describe my bedroom exactly right now if I tried to walk through it in pitch darkness, okay? This idea that there is no light and you don't know what's there. This idea of chaotic, okay? And so when we think about this, as we're kind of looking at this and thinking about our own lives, this might be right now, if you were like, man, there's sometimes in life, and maybe in your life right now, there are moments where it can feel a little chaotic. Maybe it's just school stuff. Maybe like you've been behind on grades and you're trying to catch up. Maybe you're just like, you're always just running late and everything just feels rushed and kind of chaotic in your life right now. You might have really needed these past 2 days of this fall break just to like, okay, I can get caught up. Maybe it was even worse because maybe you had some really rough parent-teacher conferences. So this idea of this like, no, it was pretty dark and chaotic in my life right now. It might be just other stuff going on. It might describe, maybe other people don't know, but you would say that would honestly describe my household right now. That's how it feels like when I'm at home. That's how it feels, my relationship with my parents right now. You might describe that as your relationship with your friends or a dating relationship. It might feel a little empty or chaotic or just this darkness in whatever's taking place in your life right now. Maybe it's not right now, though. But you could probably realize, yeah, there are times when my life does feel that way. And I love when we look at that, verses right after that, it said, then God spoke, let there be light. Just with God's just speaking light into existence, this powerful creator and who God is, just speaking this and allowing light to be out over this chaotic and formless thing. And he spoke light into existence. And he said, this is, anybody remember what he said? This is good. This is good. This has brought goodness to this darkness. This has brought some order to things. In this chaos that was there, just by God speaking, he brings order to what was chaos. He brings light to what was darkness without form and empty. Just by God speaking that into existence. And so I think it's really cool just to remember that in those moments where things can feel really dark, in those times when we feel like maybe life's a little chaotic, maybe our relationships are a little chaotic, maybe there's drama, maybe it's just junk going on at school, within your band or sports or whatever you're in, even just down to your own home life, whatever it feels like, it's just really important to remember, we have a God that can bring light to things. And that it may be a tough, to get through it, but we have a God that brings order to things, that can shine light onto dark situations in our lives. And when we experience those things, that is when we then get to show that light to other people. And I think that's really important. So we're talking about the hills, and Pastor Joel last week started talking about being a light and shining out to other people. But we can't do that if we are not allowing God to work in our life first. If we are not seeking God out in our own chaos, if we are not allowing God to bring order and light into our situation, in our lives. then we can't be a light to other people. But when we enter in this relationship with Christ and allow him to move into our life, that is when we then get to be a light to other people. And so one of the verses we're going to be reading a lot here is in Luke chapter 11. And if you can pop that up for me. And this is kind of some of the verses. I think Joel went over a little bit of this, but we're going to continue. And so when Jesus is talking to the people, and he's talking to believers, and he says, no one lights a lamp and puts it in a place where it'll be hidden. They don't put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand so that those who come in, they can see the light. When we have a light inside of us, we don't hide it, but we allow it to be seen so it lights up the areas around us. And he goes on in verse 35 and he says, make sure that the light you think you have is not actually darkness. He's like, don't buy into false things. Don't buy into lies. Like, seek after God. If you are filled with the light, with no dark corners, then your whole life, and I want you guys to really think about this. When we are following in relation with Jesus, it doesn't say you're going to be perfect. It doesn't say you're not going to make any mistakes. But he just says, when you are doing this, then your whole life will be radiant, as though a floodlight were filling you with light. He says, when you follow after truth, you will be filled, right? And then it will radiate off of you. It will shine out to other people. And so when we allow God to be a light in our lives, then you get to be a light in other people's life. And I think that's really what this whole lesson is about. That you have an impact, that you guys have an ability when you are allowing Christ to be a part of your life. You have an ability then to let that same light shine that's in your life shine onto other people's lives. And that, to me, is one of the most incredible things about this relationship with Jesus that we have. That he says, man, you experience this, but then I will use you to be that light in someone else's life. I think one of the coolest things right now, students, is you guys, we have groups of students to understand, like, man, we want to grow here, but we also want to include other people. We want, you guys desire for your friends to know who Christ is the way you guys desire it. And so I think even last night, we're looking around and we're like, man, like, it's just to go to a corn maze, this place is packed out. When we look at some of our Wednesday nights or some of our XLs and we see the amount of friends you guys are bringing, and hopefully, again, this is a good chance this coming Wednesday, like, be a light, invite people, show them, like, this is the Jesus I follow. And it can be fun, it can be amazing, but there's also some depth and truth to who Jesus is in our life. We saw that at camp. We saw it Refuel last year, and then we saw it at camp. It just keeps, you guys keep shining and showing your light to other people, and your friends want to know what that is. But we can't do that if we are not seeking God first ourselves. And so it's both, it's together. And so what I want you guys to be thinking about is, like, when you have your own chaos in your life, that it's okay to be real with it. It's okay to allow that and to share that with someone else. It's okay to talk to your leader. You don't have to feel like, well, I'm supposed to shine my light, so my life's supposed to look perfect. It's not about that. It's okay to let people know, hey, this is what I'm going through right now, but I'm trusting that God is going to bring some order to this, that he has a light even if my life looks a little dark right now. But then when we do that, so first challenge for yourself is, what are some things in your own life that may feel a little chaotic right now, that may feel a little dark right now? And what can you be praying about to allow God to work on there? But then also be thinking, man, who are some people in my life that maybe their life is a little struggle right now? Maybe their life looks a little dark right now or has a little chaos right now. That maybe I could share this with other, or just, talk to them, come alongside them. How can I help their life become a little easier? It might be a friend. It might be a parent. It might be a parent who's working a long shifts at work, and you're thinking, man, how can I help this? Maybe I'm cleaning up tonight. Maybe I'm cooking dinner before mom or dad gets home. How can I be a light to other people around me, whether it's friends or family? And then also, how can you show that care and be that light to someone else, to reflect that light that Jesus is on in your life and showing it to other people? Do your friends see Jesus in you? I think that's the big thing here. When we're talking about the hill, we're talking about being a light on a lampstand or a hill on a hillside, just shining out for people to see. Is that something in your life where people see, man, even when their life gets chaotic, they got something different going on? We know who they lean on. And so as you guys go to your small groups, I just want you to think about, what does that mean? I want you to, like this first question right here, if this is something you're wondering, like, man, ask this, all right? What is, like, I get what we're saying, like, be a light, but what does that really mean to be a light that shines? Like, what does it mean to shine God's light? Because we got to understand what we're talking about there first. But then also, like, what is chaos in your life? What do we need to be praying for? What has it been before that maybe God answered some of those prayers? Who is someone that you can be? You know, sharing that with other people, and how can you show that? What does it mean to live this out so other people see a difference in your life? Because God has chosen to use you to be a light in a dark world with other people. So I'm going to pray with you guys, and then let you guys spend some time discussing some of those questions in your small groups, okay? God, we thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being a light in our world. God, thank you for just shining light. For those who are in here that maybe they've gone through some tough times, and they've seen how you were there and how you kind of brought some order and some joy in their life after going through some tough times. God, we thank you for that. And we pray that the more we learn and grow in this relationship with you, that then we can kind of be that example and shine towards other people, whether that's just coming alongside someone, whether that's just being a good friend, or it is just inviting someone to church, or it is sharing their faith with somebody. But I just pray that we can learn what that means and what that can look like in our everyday life, God. And thank you for using us to be a light. I pray that we can be that light this week. I pray that our students can invite and have an amazing time this coming Wednesday to be a light in their world, God. Amen. Yeah, guys, go ahead and take off to your small groups. I need freshman guys. How many freshman guys are there? Raise your hand if you're a freshman guy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many sophomore guys do we have? Okay. Yeah, no, it's starting to grow. Okay. Sophomore guys, you guys will be with Austin. Freshman guys, I'm going to take you guys. Yeah. Freshman guys, let's go to the Commons, okay? Let's go up top.